We've been doing this now for 6+ years. We're not experts. We're going to go through all that again. It's going to be a new learning curve.
Absolutely.
Once you sign on the dotted line, you go in line like everybody else. Yep. This seems like common sense, but you will be surprised how many people don't do this.
Even though RV sales are somewhat down, there are still a lot of people here that are purchasing RVs. But a lot of people don't know exactly what an RV walkthrough is supposed to look like.
So in this video, we're going to give you 8 things you should always be doing on your RV walkthrough. This is really important, guys, and it's going to help you on your next RV purchase.
So number 1 is going to be film everything. Guys, there's so much information. When we did our walkthrough, it was, how long
like
was it?
4 hours.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was pretty long.
Okay.
It was like 4 hours.
Right, but there is so much information to remember. So what you want to make sure you do is film the whole thing. If all your family members can't be there, if you want to remember everything that was said, this is the perfect way for you to take that information home, review it as much as possible. You're not going to remember it all, so definitely film it.
Number 2, this seems like common sense, but you will be surprised how many people don't do this. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes when I buy something, go to put it together, I'm like, I really should read the manual.
You never read the manual.
So until I get pissed off enough to read the manual. Number 2, read the manuals. If you get an RV, you're going to get a ton of manuals, especially if you get a motorized. There's so many components in there. You don't have to read every single like you don't need to read the manual for the refrigerator, but the main manual from the manufacturer on like where the components are, the wiring, how they work, you should at least be familiar. If you don't want to read it, at least know where it's at. Then if there's a problem, you can kind of get to it. It's really important.
So in that walkthrough, you want to make sure that those manuals are there for every single component in that RV.
We actually have a little like briefcase of manuals because as we've added upgrades, we throw the manuals in there. That is really valuable for our owner. It's also valuable for resale because you need to know what's going on in that unit.
Number 3 is going to be, this is really important. Stay at the dealership overnight or overnights if possible. Yeah.
And if you can't do that, stay somewhere that's very close. Now, we will always recommend staying overnight. Quality dealerships are going to allow you to stay overnight. Like I know National Indoor RV Center does it. A lot of smaller dealerships, Showalter RV, then they only do it, they encourage it because there's a lot going on. And if there's something that's going on, you don't understand something, a lot of times not because something's broken, it's just that you just don't know how to do it. So you'll have access to the people that know what they're doing until you're able to take those training wheels off. So the next one, number 4, is going to be don't rush through the walkthrough. In fact, you should allocate the whole day for it. Yeah. So we didn't expect this. When we did a walkthrough in our motorhome, it was 4 hours.
We were not ready for that.
Now, we took the day, but it was 4 hours. It was literally a whole day because we had a 2-hour drive to pick it up in Albany, 4 hours, then another 2-hour drive. So we wound up getting back home when it was dark out already. So expect to take a lot of time. Don't rush it, guys. There's going to be a lot of information to absorb and a lot to learn.
Number 5 is one of my favorites. I love to do this, and I know it drives him crazy. But
in the comments below, husbands, let us know if this drives you crazy.
I have a very inquisitive mind, and I like to know the who's, what's, whys, and hows of everything. So I ask a lot of questions, and this step is really important. Ask a ton of questions. You're paying a lot of money for this. You want to know how everything works, how it functions. Don't be afraid to just ask a ton of questions. That's what they're there for.
So following up on questions, what are some common questions, some important questions that you should be asking during that walkthrough?
Here's some examples.
I got to stop this because there is a Vienna here.
Oh, you
a Renegade Vienna, and just
the
that
slate,
is the color.
The slate.
Not a fan. No, I shouldn't say not a fan. The Vienna, whatever, but that color combo, guys. In the comments below, let us know what you think. Anyway, I digress. Let's continue.
Okay. Some examples of questions, and there's a ton of them. You want to ask, where are the breakers? Where are the fuses?
That's
like really important things that you want to know. Are there any hidden things, which many RVs have? Are there hidden storage compartments? Sometimes there's doors that like close and will create another room. We just saw something like that in an RV we were looking at. So any type of things that you may not be obvious to you.
How about things that you shouldn't do? Like you shouldn't open your slides until you're level, or
when you're driving.
Or you should open your slides and then level. Like it depends on the RV that you have.
I made a joke. You didn't even respond.
Because I was on my next one. I had to think. But here's one that's happened. Trying to open the slides and you have your key in the ignition. You know what? A lot of times it'll cut those, and you're like, my slides are not opening, my slides.
Right.
Well, yeah, because your key's in the ignition. So these are really important things that you should know and you should ask.
This is really, really important. And this was where sometimes the emotion can take over and you want to make sure it doesn't. If something is broken or is not working the way it should, do not leave until it's fixed.
So most of the time how it works, or how it should work, is they're going to do the PDI before you get there. This is going to be buying from a dealership. You're going to have your orientation walkthrough, and then you're going to sign the final paperwork. So it's very, very important. Like MJ said, if there's something that's broken, make sure they fix it. And the reason why we say this is because once you sign on the dotted line, you go to the back of the line, or you go in line like everybody else.
Yep.
Prior to you signing in that dotted line, they will get it fixed. So that may mean, oh, you got to come back in a couple of days. That's okay. Make sure they correct it and physically see that they corrected what the problem is. The next one is going to be after you pick everything up. You're planning on going your first camping trip. We would highly suggest that your first camping trip is not your dream one, 1,000 miles away from home. Don't do that. We didn't do that, and it turned out well because, again, you're not going to remember everything. So if you have the ability to camp in your driveway, do that. If not, then maybe somewhere close by that if there's any issues, you're going to be able to straighten them out prior to getting to your destination. It's not going to ruin your trip. So during that camping trip, what should you be doing?
Well, you want to make sure too, especially if you're new, guys, and you've never hooked up an RV, if you've got a towable or you have a motorized and you have to hook up your towed. I mean, these are things that you want to make sure that you're comfortable doing before you head out onto the road. Make sure your water is working properly. Make sure that all of your slides are going in. And again, these are things that were done already, but before that big trip, that's what we try to stress, because a lot of people will get their RV and head out on a 2,000-mile trip. We wouldn't recommend doing that.
One other thing I want to add is that during those shakedown trips, especially if you're new, you're going to find out things that you don't have that you actually need. Like, oh crap, I need this for hookups, or oh, I need this adapter. And again, if you're close to home, you can go pick that up. If you're on your 1,000-mile trip and now you can't dump, or then it becomes more of a frustration.
And we're still finding out 6-7 years later, still things we need to have a spare of that. We need to have an extra of this. So it never stops.
So we hope those steps, those questions are going to help you out if you're getting an RV. Our next RV we're going to get, we've been doing this now for 6+ years. We're not experts. We're going to go through all that again because it's going to be a new learning curve.
Absolutely. And let us know in the comments below, guys, what are other things that you find to be very critical during an RV walkthrough? Put them down below. And
if you like videos like this, guys, to the left of us, we'll put our RV Newbies playlist. We're going to put our RV Tourist playlist, and for myself and MJ, it's a journey of a lifetime, and we'll see you on the road.